Hey guys, we are live. What is going on out there this afternoon? Yeah, Brent Abel here, WebTennis.com. Another episode of the Tennis Mindset Project. Some days a little tough love. Maybe today's one of those days. We shall see. Um, yeah, I'm back. I got back yesterday afternoon. We did a show yesterday afternoon. That was good. Got back in time for that live show. Did another What's the Right Shot episode this morning. And that was a long one. We had our boy Jeff Jacklich on with us. And look, just a quick reminder that every morning at 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time zone, 11 a.m. Eastern, going live. Occasionally a pre-recorded um, episode, but what's the right shot? And remember, what's the right shot is really based on two main things about shot choice in tennis. Is number one, where do you want the ball to land over there? And then where do you want to move to next on the court to enhance your shot choice? This is a big deal. I mean, a lot of players just sort of think that this is just a one-off thing. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, is that, hey, I'm going up there and that's it, right? I mean, there's no real thought of, well, if I go to that spot, how's that going to affect my next court position? And sometimes you want to be thinking more strategically or more tactically in terms of shot choice, in that if I play the ball there, maybe I could move somewhere that would make that shot even more difficult for the opponent over there in both singles and doubles. So that's what we do every morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. And again, typically it's a live show, once in a while pre-recorded, but hope you'll join me tomorrow morning for another episode of What's the Right Shot. And look, guys, I mentioned it this morning as well, the 5 gotta haves. If you're going to become a better player, and if you're here on the Tennis Mindset Project, I think you probably started to embrace, if not fully embrace, the fact that, look, I mean, the mental part's a big deal in the game, right? We can't just outwork the game physically. I tried to do it, never really worked. I mean, I got better, a little bit better, but when it got down to those big matches against some of the players, I just didn't have the belief. And so, again, what I'm saying is that you can't out physical the training and assume that just is going to make you mentally tougher, match tougher. It helps, but it doesn't really take you up to that next level. And that next level is all about belief against anybody that you're on the court with. So, but I digress. Look, the 5 gotta haves: pair away swing tech. Number one, we need to minimize swing technique, do as little as possible to get the same exact result. Too often we're overdoing it with swing technique, with stroke technique, and getting a decent result, but we're just burning fuel. We're just really burning fuel. And we got to do the opposite. We got to go minimalist on stroke technique, get the same result, and have more fuel to burn in the match, or if you play in a tournament tomorrow. Tactical focus, right? Man, I'm going to talk to you today about a tactical focus. And rather than just kind of a helter-skelter, here comes the ball, I guess I'll do that, or here comes another ball, I guess I'll do that. You've got to have a tactical focus based on the strength, number one, of your opponent. And from there, what can we probe? Like if you find some guy who's got a really big time forehand, for example, all right, well, then the initial tactical focus is, I'm going to stay away from that. Just not going to let him eat me up with that thing that he wants over there. I'm going to go somewhere else. And then you start probing to find out, well, if it's big in the forehand, how average is the backhand? Maybe the backhand's weak, right? Maybe that's why the forehand's so good, is the backhand's weak, and now we're just going to pepper that backhand. Steady diet of it. Or maybe he doesn't like to move in certain ways. That's another thing that we're going to talk about today in today's topic. Mindset, obviously, that's why you're here today. Mindset, skill, training, habituating, crucial, absolutely crucial. Experiences, right? You got to be able to go out there and play enough practice sets, enough practice matches, so that you start to settle down and you start to see patterns that develop based on the tactical focus that we just talked about. What if you played some guy and you stayed away from his strength all day long? Even told him that, hey, today I'm going to only be doing this. Okay, I've done it before, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they know what's coming, right? I mean, I'm not saying that you do it 100% of the time. maybe 1 out of 10 shots you go over the strength just to, keep them honest over there. But you need to play a lot of practice sets in singles and doubles to let the game kind of narrow down into the realization that there's just a few patterns out there based on your tactical focus that you need to really consider. And then the big deal is tennis specific fitness. And I am putting together a program. I'm going to show you what I do in the gym. I'm going to show you what I do in the court. I'm going to talk about my diet. Basically, the diet is try to be as non-inflammatory as possible, right? I want my joints to feel as good as possible. And any kind of inflammatory foods, it doesn't work. So you have to kind of find the right balance of what's the right amount of protein, what's the right amount of whatever it is to be able to, and do it with a non-inflammatory diet. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'll put a program together for you here. It is on my schedule today to video the gym work that I do. I've got my home set up here. I'm going to show you what I do. Nothing fancy, but man, it's just, you can't tell me that if this is what you want to do, if you want to become a better player, whatever your baseline is right now, whatever your average skill level is right now, and you want to up it, well, first of all, we can't be carrying around any extra weight. Just makes no freaking sense at all. And so if that's the first thing, if you need to drop, I don't know, 5, 7, 10, 15 or more pounds, that's got to be the focus. And when you do, all the other things start to fall into place, right? So look, if you want some help with that, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Let's start a little private one-on-one discussion. And let me see if I can't help you in the tennis specific area. So this tactical focus takes a big level of trust. And so when we talk about shot choice, I know for me, a shot choice used to be instinctively, I want to keep it away from that guy over there, right? It would just make sense. Why would I want to play a ball that he can get to? And my feeling was, well, any ball I hit that he gets to, maybe he could do some damage. And over the years and decades, what I finally came to believe is that that's just not true. Just because, I can't tell you how many really just average approach shots or average backhands or average serves I've thrown in there, second serves, that most players just don't take advantage of. They might try to, and once in a while, okay, they do some damage, and once in a while they just flat out miss. But the reality is that most of the time is that you don't need to play keep away. And that takes some mental training and some trust that, as we've heard this thing from our good friend Jeff Jacklich always say, is that let him touch the ball. You don't have to be such a great shot maker that the guy over there never, ever gets a chance to touch the ball. And if that's what you're trying to do, and believe me, I used to do that in drilling. I used to try to drill cross courts or up the line ground strokes or serves in such a way that I could just absolutely mash it over and over and over again to this spot in the court, knowing that I don't think you'll be able to get it. I just don't think so. So, my thought was, well, I'm going to start to really, really load up that column of winners and outright winners. And it just never really happened. And I've seen other players try to do it. It never really happens for them. And part of that is that you don't trust. If that's your thinking, I've got to learn how to hit big shots because I don't want it to come, or I don't want them to touch it. A lot of it's because you don't trust that you can stay in the point if you have to for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more shots in a point. You don't trust that you can do that. And worst case, keep the point neutral, right? Where you're not giving them an advantage. Yes, are they going to touch it? They are. Yes, is the ball likely to come back? It is. And that's okay. Get back to the fitness part. You got to be able to be fit to be able to do this, because if you're not fit, believe me, you might win the first set and you have a break in the second, but all of a sudden you start to hit the wall fitness wise. And next thing you know, is you're trying to end the point so quickly, just not working out. So here's what I came to believe, especially with better players, is that when you take them to a corner with your shot, right? And the thinking is, hey, I want to play a ball over there that maybe they can't touch. Maybe they won't be able to get it back. Okay. You do that, but the reality is you miss so many of them. Yet, yeah, you ding a few winners, but you miss way more often. But you still end up going to a corner. And the better players, they love to look at the court. They love the geometry of looking at the entire court from a corner. The angles open up from them. I mean, yeah, going up the line is a little tricky, but the cross court thing gets bigger. And so I've just found that the better players seem to become better shot makers in terms of outright winners when they're in the corner, or if they're in the corner that they can put me into some trouble. So here's what I had to believe, or here's what I came to believe, is that why not, if they're going to touch the ball, and I'm just assuming that they're going to touch it because I'm not going to be sitting here trying to hit winners all day because I know I can't. So assuming they're going to touch the ball, why not play it right back up the middle? I'm not talking about pushing. I'm talking about a high quality, could be topper, could be underspin, but go right back up the middle and force them to have the kind of footwork that a lot of players are only good at when you move them from side to side. You move them from one corner to another corner. They seem to be pretty good footwork wise doing that. But when you play a ball right at the middle and it's a high quality ball, not saying it's risky. I'm just saying it's got a nice safe height above the top of the net. It lands relatively deep with some top or with some underspin. And now what you're doing is you're forcing them to have the kind of footwork to where they have to get out of the way of the ball. That's a big different footwork pattern, getting out of the way of a ball rather than moving over to it. And the mental part of all that, of playing balls right up the middle, is that the guy's going to touch it. It's likely to come back, and that's okay. And what I found, especially against some of the top players, is that sure, they touch it, sure, it comes back, but they don't do the same amount of damage as they do from the corner. And I'm finding that you get more offensive opportunities going right back up the middle, right back at them, because they just don't get away as efficiently, get out of the way of the path of the incoming ball as efficiently. And so stroke technique a lot of times for them becomes kind of improvisational, where all of a sudden they just cough up a short ball, and or their brain, because they love to see the court from the corner hit a big shot, they start going for big shots from the middle of the court. Angles aren't as good, and it just doesn't seem to work out as well for them when you go right back up the middle. So what's the big level of trust? You have to overcome that voice that says, hey, let's play it over the corner. Maybe they won't get it. And when you trust that it's okay to stay in the point for as long as you need to until you really get a real big time offensive opportunity, rather than trying to force it, trying to end the point, I think what you're going to find is your whole mindset, your whole mental thing shifts from, oh boy, it's okay that the guy's going to touch it. It's okay that the ball's going to come back. And once you get into that, I think what happens is that level of stress that a lot of players have when, as Jeff says, they're kind of looking for the exit. There's a level of stress there that really starts to burn fuel, really starts to burn a lot of physical fuel. And so when you lower that stress, and even though the points might last a shot or two longer, guess what? By lowering that stress, you just have more fuel in the tank. You've got clarity in terms of shot choice. Hey, look, it looks like you're going deep back up the middle with another backhand underspin, and the next thing you know is the guy starts backing up before you hit it. You play a little drop shot, right? So, trusting that it's okay to stay in the point by going right back up the middle. Lowest part of the net, right? We love that. and we're forcing the guy to have good footwork to get out of the path of the incoming ball. Hey, look, I've told you guys this a lot. I probably go 70% of the time with my first serve right at the body. I'm not looking to go big ding up the tee or somehow go out wide, right? I'm looking to tie up their stroke technique to go right at the body. And I just find that I get, sure, returns come back. Yeah, they end up touching the serve. It comes back, but it just doesn't have the same authority. If I try to go up the tee and now it leaks a little bit more towards them, boom, right? Try to go out wide a little bit. And next thing you know, it doesn't really go out wide. It just kind of sits up out there, boom. So hope this makes sense. This big level of trust that just go right at them, and let's see what happens. And I mean, there are a couple players that I'm thinking about in my age group who are big hitters. And I used to think, well, I got to keep it away from the big hitter. They're good on both sides, both forehand and backhand. And I just found that, I'm trying to go to the corners. I'm missing too many because I have this level of stress of trying to hope that they don't get to it. And the next thing you know is they're over there because the footwork pattern moving from side to side for them, so much easier, so much more efficient than getting out of the way of the path of the ball. And if they back up at all, man, I'm just coming in. I'm looking for whatever they give me, play a little dropper, now move them up and back as opposed to side to side. Look, guys, hope this makes help. Hope this is helpful. That's it for me today. Look, would love to read your comments or feedback and or questions down below in the comments area. And if you want, you can always shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. If you want to keep it, private, that is fine as well. So, guys, here we go. Look, it's time. We got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, see you again next time.